All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone to today's special Tadaima panel of speakers. And we have with us today our special guest, Judge Johnny Gogo. He is the Superior Court Judge in Santa Clara County, California. And he is going to be sharing with us today a special project of his, which is a memorial flag signing for camp survivors from the WWII incarceration camps around the community. And we have with him as well some special guests, friends of his, that will also share their own experiences and their own involvement with Judge Gogo's project as well. But for those of you who don't know me, my name is Haruka Raudebush. I'm the Senior Programs Manager at the Japanese Cultural and Community Center of Northern California, based here in San Francisco. And we're proud to be community sponsors with Tadaima for this year's virtual pilgrimage program. And so I'd like to also give you guys a little bit more background on today's panelists. So a little bit more about Johnny Gogo. So Judge Gogo graduated from the University of California, San Diego with a BA in Political Science, where he graduated cum laude from the Thomas Jefferson School of Law also in 1996. And he began his career as a prosecutor with the Guam Attorney General's Office in 1997, worked as an associate attorney with the law firm of Calvo and Clark in Guam, and later joined the Santa Clara County DA's office in 1999. And in October 2019, Judge Gogo was appointed by Governor Newsom and was assigned to handle domestic and family violence cases in the Santa Clara County Superior Court. So besides his work in the courtroom, Judge Gogo has also been involved for over 20 years with local bar associations and has been celebrated for his work promoting diversity within the legal profession. And he's also been recognized for his work in the community. And amongst the different causes that he supports includes work with at-risk youth, a high school mock trial, gun buyback programs, as well as support for domestic violence shelters. And along with Judge Gogo today, we have additional panelists. Our first panelist also is our guest, Bradford Pearson. And Bradford is a journalist and author of the book, The Eagles of Heart Mountain, a true story of football, incarceration, and resistance in World War II America. So for all you football fans, we highly encourage you guys to check out his book. He's written for the New York Times, Esquire, Time, Philadelphia Magazine, and many other publications. Our next panelist as well is Kiyo Sato-Nunneley. And Kiyo was incarcerated at Poston camp with her family at the age of 19. And that is partly covered in her book, Dandelion Through the Cracks, The Sato Family Quest for the American Dream. Kiyo later joined the United States Air Force, completed her college education in nursing, and achieved the rank of captain. Kiyo set an ambitious path for herself that she has held throughout her life. In addition to nursing, she has been a wife, a mother to 4 children, and worked as a public health nurse. She developed the innovative Blackbird Vision screening program for detecting vision problems in young children. And she is an active member of the Nisei Post 8985, and along with her fellow veterans, spends time sharing the experience of the incarceration of Japanese Americans during World War II and the accomplishments of Japanese Americans in the military during the war. The VFW Nisei Post organized their Speakers Bureau in 1986, filling 50 to 70 requests each year with 10 to 15 speakers from their roster. And they are now in the process of reorganizing for the next generation. And our final panelist with us today is Bacon Sakatani, who was born in 1929 in El Monte, California, and was incarcerated with his family during the war first to the Pomona Assembly Center, and then was in Heart Mountain concentration camp in Wyoming. So Bacon returned to California after leaving camp and opened a produce market and also did gardening work. And Bacon is active with various JA causes, including the Heart Mountain Wyoming Foundation. So thank you all for joining us. It's a great honor to be moderating today's panel with you all. And I think at this point, let's go ahead and get into today's discussion. So why don't we start with Judge Gogo? And Judge, if you could explain to us a little bit more about your project with the flag signing, and sort of explain to us the inspiration behind it and how you got this project started.
Thank you, Haruka, and thank you again, Haruka, for reaching out to me originally to schedule this program with Tadaima, and working with our schedules to allow for Brad and Bacon and Kiyo to join us. It's a real treat and honor. This flag signing project was in part inspired by one of my judicial colleagues here on the bench here in Santa Clara County, Roberta Hayashi, whose parents, her mother was incarcerated as well in one of the internment camps. And when Roberta Hayashi became a judge on our bench, she started to do outreach in our community here in San Jose and Santa Clara County regarding Fred Korematsu Day, which was it's a relatively recent holiday here in California. It first became a holiday in California in 2010 with Governor Schwarzenegger. And it was through that outreach that I met Roberta in helping promote, again, Fred Korematsu Day events in San Jose. And over the years, as I would come to help support the event and show up to the programs myself, I started obviously to learn more about the experience and the Japanese American internment experience. And I had, just a small amount of knowledge at the time. But then I started to meet more people. And in particular, I met Karen Korematsu, Fred Korematsu's daughter. And Karen has been a strong advocate of, again, helping share her father's story and the entire experience of the Japanese American incarceration timeframe. And again, through other speakers, I met Dale Minami, one of the civil rights attorneys who actually worked on the Fred Korematsu case to get his conviction overturned. And then when I became a judge and started to again continue to support the Fred Korematsu Day outreach events, eventually I just thought to myself, how can I help get more people involved? Because Fred, unfortunately, I didn't get the chance to meet Fred in person. He passed away in 2005. But I knew that there were other survivors of the Japanese American prison camps here in the United States, and I thought to myself, how can I get those people to come out, be honored, be recognized for their sacrifice, their family sacrifice, their hardships, their resilience, their courage. And so, just a bit of creative thinking, I said to myself, why don't I obtain a 48-star American flag, which represents the World War II era, which also, unfortunately, represents the time frame of the United States incarceration camps for Japanese Americans. And so that's how the idea essentially came about. And it was stewing around in my brain for a couple months before I actually started seeking signatures. And one of the tipping points for me to actually start to contact survivors to get signatures was Brad's book, Brad Pearson's book, the Eagles of Heart Mountain. And I've been on Twitter for a couple of years, and for some reason, Brad's book came up on my Twitter feed, and the title got my attention, right? The Eagles of Heart Mountain, a true story of football, incarceration, and resistance in World War II America. Well, his description appealed to me on all three levels. I'm a football fan, right? I love high school football, college football, professional football. So immediately I'm attracted to this book about football. And then incarceration, I'm a judge. I care about folks that are incarcerated. As a prosecutor, When I argued for people to be incarcerated, I wanted to make sure I had the evidence that proved them guilty. And so that was also something that captured my attention. And then, World War II, my parents were directly impacted by World War II. And so again, all three of those areas captured my attention. I got Brad's book and, read through it and just found it so fascinating. And especially when Brad writes about the connections in the book to San Jose and Santa Clara County, Santa Clara County, Silicon Valley. And I found out that some of the football players, at least one football player, Brad wrote about that was still alive. And I said to myself, what an honor it would be to have that one football player that's still alive sign this book for me. And so that football player, his name is Keiichi Ikeda. And Brad had last contacted him, I think around 2018, and we're now in 2021 when I started this flag signing project. So I was praying that Keiichi was still with us, and so I actually sent a Twitter message to Brad saying, "Hey, loved your book. I'd love to get Keiichi's signature on the book. Can you help me connect with Keiichi?" Well, Brad said yes. Hey, I'll try to help you, but I'll be honest. I don't get responses from Keiichi immediately, and so I'll keep you posted. And that was the last that I heard from Brad for a few weeks because I said to myself, I can't just wait around, right? And so I started to Google Keiichi's name, and when I Googled Keiichi's name, it came up with a Google search that connected Keiichi to Bacon's name. And so that's how I first read Bacon Sakatani's name. I saw him on the internet, and Bacon, as you will know and find out, Bacon's been involved obviously with Heart Mountain, but with camp reunions for all of the 10 major camps, the major prison camps in the United States. Bacon's been very involved in that. And so ultimately, I sent an email to Bacon about the flag signing, and it turned out that Bacon was able to help me connect with Keiichi. And so I ultimately went down to Los Angeles for the flag signing and met Bacon, and would return back to Los Angeles to meet Keiichi, and got Keiichi to sign the book. And then, to round out the connection with Kiyo, I was invited to have the flag signed up in Sacramento as part of the Go for Broke Nisei Soldiers postal stamp campaign at the beginning of June of this year. And so I was excited to go up to Sacramento for the flag signing. And lo and behold, that's where I meet Kiyo. And she's got her military kind of jacket on, and she's got her military veterans kind of beret on. And it was such an honor to meet Kiyo because as a military veteran, I have great respect for her, and Bacon's a military veteran as well, because my father was in the military and my brother served in the military, and so great respect for anybody who serves in the military, but obviously for Bacon and Kiyo because they were camp survivors. And so I know I've taken up too much time to set that background, but it was very important so that our audience understands how I was initially connected to Brad and how his book helped push me along, to get these flags signed. And now I've got one flag completely signed. I've got the second flag that's almost completely signed, and I've had to start a third flag with signatures, and I'll fill up the third flag. I'm probably going to have to get a fourth flag because there's a lot of people out there now contacting me saying, Judge Gogo, when will you be back in Southern California, or when will you be maybe coming to Chicago or New York, and so on and so forth. But let me stop there because I want our audience really to hear from Brad and hear from Bacon and hear from Kiyo.
Sure. I think at some point that we will want to circle back to the tour and any upcoming tour dates and locations that you have in mind. But yes, let's go ahead and learn more about the connections that your project has enabled you to make throughout our community. So let's go to Brad now. Can you maybe share with us your experience in having Judge Gogo get in touch with you and connecting him with other folks in our community for this project?
Sure. Well, like Judge Gogo said, thank you all so much for having me. It's always an honor to speak about this book and the history that's within it, and the history that is continuing to be a part of all of our lives, thanks to Judge Gogo's work and programs like Tadaima. Basically, like Judge Gogo said, he reached out to me after reading the book, and one of the best things that can happen to you when you're an author or a journalist or in any sort of public facing career is to have someone reach out and say that they not only liked your work, but appreciated the research and everything that you put into it. And the first time Johnny and I spoke, we must have talked for close to an hour about, our lives and who we were and how this history, neither of us are Japanese Americans. So this history to us, or I guess our place in how we help other communities learn about this history is kind of different than a lot of folks who study Japanese American history or as Japanese Americans have a familial connection to that. So I think Judge Gogo and I really connected, and hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn, but I think we connected on that idea that both the things that we've done or we were doing, whether it was writing the Eagles of Heart Mountain or his flag signing tour and ceremonies, were sort of our way of sort of helping these other communities outside of the Japanese American community learn about this part of American history that I think both of us thought had been undertaught and underappreciated as this moment that occurred, but is still with us today in 2021. And I got to say that, one of the greatest moments after writing this book was to get out of the blue random photos from Johnny of Kichi signing this book. I got the pictures, and I'm not ashamed to say that I started crying. It's it's one of those things where you see, I worked really hard to make sure that the folks who I wrote about in the book felt respected and felt honored by the work that I put into the book. And to see Kichi signing his name in connection to a completely separate project that I was, tangentially sort of connected with, it was a pretty overwhelming feeling. And it's one of those things that you don't ever know what to expect when you put our work out into the world. But to see that connection with Kichi and then to see it with Judge Gogo has been really special. And I will say that one of the first people that helped kick off this entire book was Bacon. And I don't even know if he remembers that, but it's back in 2017, I emailed Bacon randomly and said, I'm just this guy that's kind of interested maybe in telling the story about this football team. And I hear that you're the guy that has all of the Heart Mountain Sentinel newspapers on his computer. And, a couple of days later, I get a package with a CD in the mail that has every copy of the Heart Mountain Sentinel from Bacon, along with all of the high school newspaper PDFs. And that really launched me on the research that became this book. So Bacon was a huge part of this book getting off the ground too. So that, I'll let Bacon and Kiyo sort of take it from here.
Sure. Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, it is really touching for members of the Japanese American community to see folks from beyond the Japanese American community take on our history and to impart that to the general public. And so that is much needed and much appreciated. But yes, let's go ahead and turn it over to Bacon at this point. And so Bacon, could you share with us a little bit more about your own experience, even from the camps, but also, as a survivor of the camps, what your initial reaction was when both Bradford and Judge Gogo reached out to you to ask for your assistance with their projects.
Well, first of all, let me put out the fact that from the first through the fifth grade, the Japanese and Mexican in our area had to go to a segregated school. This was not all over California, but here and there, we did have these segregated Mexican schools, as they were called. It was something that we just accepted. We were told to go to a segregated school, so we went. That's the way it was during those days. But in my fifth grade, we moved to another area, and there were no segregated schools. And in fact, there were hardly any discrimination. And in one of my classes, we even had a Japanese day. We had about 20% of my class, were Japanese. And so, we had Japanese days, and Japanese students took, Japanese items and explained, what Japanese culture was like. Well, and then pretty soon the war started. It was something that we did not expect. And the next day, Monday, we went to school. There was a little bit of excitement, for us, grammar school kids. But then soon after, it was all back to normal. And, we were all Americans, and we were trying to help with the war effort. The adults were buying war bonds, for $25 and up. But we students, we were buying war stamps at 10 cents. And, we were filling up these war stamp books so that we could buy war bonds with them. We had the Victory Garden, we saved newspapers. And even the foil from the cigarette package. We were all, helping the war effort. But soon after, the executive order came out, that all persons of Japanese ancestry, all aliens and non-aliens, will report to camp in 6 days with only what we could carry. And we did that. We did not complain. We just obeyed the orders because that's the way we were taught to do. To be a good American, you obey orders from the teachers, the policemen, from everyone. And so then we were placed in the camp. And then after several months at this Pomona Assembly Center, we were sent to a more permanent camp in the inland United States at the Heart Mountain Relocation Center in Wyoming. And all that place, it was all guards all around the place. We had a fence. Oh, it was really a prison camp. And so we stayed there for 3 years. My brother was inducted into the U.S. Army. We had 800 who served from the camp and 15 who gave their lives. I mean, this fact should be, let known to the white Americans that, we serve, behind from barbed wire fence that, 800 from the Heart Mountain camp served and that 15 gave their lives. Well, anyway, so after 3 years, the war ended, and then we were let out. Oh, it was a great big struggle. We were put into the camp. We lost everything. And so, we were let out. We were given $25 a piece and a one-way train ticket to anywhere we wanted to go. But most of us, we had no place to go and no money. And so that period right after the war was, it's something that we do not want to talk about because it's so embarrassing. But we've got to bring this out that we Japanese Americans, loyal Japanese Americans, loyal to the United States, we really suffered after the war. And this story has got to be brought out. And so a little later, the Korean War started, and I served in the Korean War along with Kiyo. And after that, things got better, and we all survived and got along just fine. Oh, and by the way, the redress movement started, to redress the wrongs of World War II. And so I joined that group, and we got the country to to sign this to have the president sign this apology, that it was wrong to put us into the camp, and they gave us a restitution of $20,000 to the living survivors. And so this is the story that we got to put out. And so this is why I signed that flag. When Judge Gogo came around asking for incarcerees to sign the flag, I went right away. I got to get my name on there to show America that I was put into the camp, unjustly. And I served in the United States Army to help protect the United States.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Bacon. And I also understand that you are currently involved with the Heart Mountain Wyoming Foundation as well, to continue educating the public about our community's history and our legacy. And could you maybe spend a little bit of time just explaining what current efforts are with the Heart Mountain Foundation?
This was way back in 1984 when I first visited Heart Mountain. I saw that there were many, many barracks still left in those days, and I thought, gee, we got to do something about the Heart Mountain camp, and there were other people who had the same thought, and so we all got together, when we hashed out, what we should do. And we even got the white American in Wyoming, that they too wanted something there at the Heart Mountain campsite to show the public, what happened during World War II. And so, we got started. It was a slow start, but, finally, we got many people behind this project. They found out, how wrong, of what happened at the Heart Mountain camp. And so, we all got together and we got all the plans set. We had our fundraising, and finally in 2011, we dedicated the learning center at the Heart Mountain campsite. And it's really something. It's a great, interpretive center, showing exactly what happened there at Heart Mountain.
Great. Thanks so much. Yeah, and we really encourage folks to continue supporting organizations like the Heart Mountain Foundation that are undergoing efforts to preserve the actual physical sites of our community's incarceration. So thank you, Bacon. Next, why don't we go to Kiyo as well and have Kiyo share with us her experience as well and connection that she made with Judge Gogo when she met him at a flag signing event, and how the project of flag signing really resonated with the work that she's done in the community.
Hello.
Thank you.
Yes. You've asked me to speak because I am old. I'm sure.
Oh no, Judge Gogo definitely has a connection with you that he'd like you to share. Yeah.
But having heard both Bradford and Bacon, they've told most of the story. So I will sort of fill in with what I have experienced. And I've been around a long time. You didn't say how long. I've walked over half of this planet in my almost 100 years. I'm 98 and a half.
Wow.
And if I had read Bradford's book, I don't think I would have been as brave as I was in the 1940s and 41 and 42. So much of that information was not known to me. And perhaps it was a good thing because it made me ignore some of them, some of the dangers, and went about doing what I had to do. And I was 19 at that time when the incarceration camps were being discussed. By the way, Bacon has described most of what we went through, so I will try to fill in. Bacon didn't tell you that I first knew about him when he was the editor of the Japanese American Korean War Veterans newsletter. But anyway, I will tell you some of the tidbits from those times. In fact, one day I was driving my old Studebaker to downtown, 10 miles away, to buy old suitcases to prepare my seven younger brothers and sisters for this trip, what we called to the children, train trip. And I didn't have my 5-mile travel permit. And behind me, coming back home with a load of suitcases, was this cop car, police car. And he wouldn't pass me up. He followed me and followed me. And until my hands got so sweaty, I got so nervous. And I was at least 6 miles away from the curfew, from the travel area of 5 miles. And I thought, now, is he gonna pull me over? Is he gonna take me in? And so finally, I had to make a right-hand turn over the railroad tracks, and I could hardly step on my brakes. I was so nervous because so many people had been picked up and taken away. And lo and behold, that cop cars went straight on, and I just collapsed over my steering wheel and let my car just roll down and stayed that way for a long time. It was a scary, scary time. And the redeeming experience is that I said, I just got to go get some vegetables over at the Chinese farmers. I told him about the incident, and he said, if they stop you again, tell them you, my daughter, I come get you. You'd have no idea how wonderful that it was. A little bit of sunshine shining through. for me. There were so many incidents like that. Now the Psyches, Mr. Okazaki, Mr. Psyche were picked up by the FBI, and they were just good, honest farmers. And why, I wondered, did they pick them up? For numbers? And sure enough, the headline said in the Sacramento Union, 42 Jap spies rounded up. Imagine. Now, going to this train ride down, when we finally were corralled into the filthy old train, I thought to myself, nobody's come to save us. The president hasn't changed his mind. And when that train moved, I just broke down, totally broke down. I couldn't stop crying. I cried and cried from the bottom of my tummy and pressed my face against that dirty window and cried. But the children had their own suitcases and were on a trip. And lo and behold, a youngster handed me a inari sushi. Imagine getting a sushi served to me. Some mother, Issei mother, had stayed up probably all night fixing a big container of inari sushi. Imagine. They said, "Shikata nanai, we've got to live with this." My mother and I fixed, because we didn't know whether we were going to be fed. So we fixed peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and onigiri, rice balls, a whole big furoshiki of it to carry. And so anyway, you may have heard this too. Bacon and Nick Sansei said, "You guys went like sheep to slaughter." That pierced my heart. That pierced me through and through. Suppose we had not done that. Suppose. Can you imagine the consequences? I wouldn't probably be speaking on this Zoom program. Another difficult thing I had was that I wanted to get into nursing. And the dean said, apply to 3 top schools of nursing. That was Yale, Johns Hopkins, and Case Western Reserve. I got letters saying we cannot take anyone of your background into our program, or we cannot have anyone of your background around the patients. And it was very discouraging to know that the top educational institution in our country would have succumbed to this kind of racism. Another thing that really changed my life was one little red cap in Elkhart, Indiana, who followed me at the railroad station when I was going on to Hillsdale College. Says, where did you come from? And I told him, what did you do there? And I told him. And for 20 minutes, he asked me questions, and he even bought me a cup of coffee, the little red cap. I think he must have been about 16 years old. And so I felt good about having told him and someone listened to the truth. Most of us didn't want to talk about all this. You know that the Nises are known for not wanting to talk about it. And so he's the one who started me on this, maybe you might call it a career, but I haven't stopped talking since then. And organized the Speakers Bureau with the VFW. And we spoke for 15 long years, every year at the El Dorado High School, all day long. We had 14 years at CSUS, and all this was pro bono. And in those days, you had to carry a carousel of slides, a projector. And now, of course, you take a PowerPoint, so little flash drive, and you're on. But it was a lot of work. And I might tell you, the students often ask, why didn't you riot? I tell them, if we had rioted, I wouldn't be here talking to you. Why didn't you hire a lawyer? These are the questions they have. We used to do assembly programs, but decided that there wasn't enough time for questions. And now we go to classes, and we've hit 70 requests one school year. And we also went to the other areas down in Northern California, from Fresno, San Jose, and up to demonstrate and help them get started. So, in conclusion, my father said, Mama to ishoni yoku yatta mon da. Amazed at himself that they've come through all this. And so am I. And I become very interested in what made these people. DeWitt, Lieutenant General John L. DeWitt, has sort of directed my life, I think. And how did our society, create a Hitler, create a DeWitt, create a Trump, create the racists, the terrorists, and all that. And I've come to find that the father is so critical in every case. Every one of these fathers were tyrants. And I was fortunate. My father was my anchor, even though I was a firstborn daughter, not a firstborn son, as so many Japanese families want. So I want to tell you in closing that our Sato clan now has 5 generations, white to black, to everything in between. My own family of 4 children embraces 6 ethnic racial backgrounds. And And I've spoken to practically every one of my nieces and nephews' classes from second grade up through high school, all these years. I'm going to tell you, the most tragic comment I've heard from a child is, "I wish you were my mommy. I wish you were my mommy." That child should be a happy duckling swimming along with the mother duck. One more thing. We teach our children, beware of strangers. That is so wrong. Beware of strangers. That's you, that's me. That's all adults. We've got to change that. And this is what I propose. Let's begin by giving a smile to every child you encounter. They need to trust us. They need to trust our world. They are the future decision makers for America. Our 48-star flag will remind us. And this is the legacy that the Issei left us. Kodomo no tameni. Let's carry on. My next book title is Dandelion Puff, subtitle Kodomo no tameni. Thank you.
Right. Oh, that was so amazing to hear, Kiyo. Thank you so much for sharing. And also, thank you both to you, Kiyo, and to Bacon for your military service to our country and to all the educational work that you both have done on behalf of our community.
Haruka, can I interject real quick? Bacon,
Yes.
Bacon, do you have Kiyo's book still? Can you hold that up for the audience to see? And yes, to the folks in the audience, hold those books up, Kiyo and Bacon. To the folks in the audience, I would highly encourage you to go online and buy Kiyo's story. It's a fantastic read, and I truly enjoyed it. So I would encourage you to do the same. That's one of the reasons, again, why I wanted Kiyo on this panel, because as one of the I think it was Carrie in the chat put, it's so important to have a woman's viewpoint on these issues as well, right? And Bacon's got another book, Women in the Military. And so, it's such a treat and an honor to have Kiyo share her story and be with us on this panel. And like I said, as a veteran, and look, here's a new book, Kiyo Sato, Dandelions Through the Crack. Oh yes, that I think that might have been the original title. Is that correct, Kiyo?
This is the original title, which was changed to Kiyo's story.
Yes, such a wonderful story, and I was able to get my own autograph copy when Kiyo signed the flag. So such a treat to have Kiyo and Bacon. And in terms of Bacon, Bacon has done so much to help, and Kiyo have done so much over their lives to help educate our communities about the Japanese American internment to incarceration experience. But Bacon in particular has done so much for Heart Mountain. His nickname is Mr. Heart Mountain because he's done so much great work on behalf of the Heart Mountain Foundation. And I would encourage, again, all of the viewers to Google Bacon Sakatani and Heart Mountain, because there's so much great material out there on Bacon that we don't have enough time to cover in this program tonight. Same thing with Kiyo. You Google Kiyo's name, she's got some great, they both have great recorded interviews. And so I would encourage, again, the readers and the viewers to go and watch that. And again, I hate to plug this book, but it's such a wonderful read, especially during football season, right? We're we're up here in the Bay Area, and our 49ers could have been 3-0 if we didn't let Aaron Rodgers have too much time on the clock to kick that last-minute field goal. But this is such a fantastic book. Again, it drew me in because of the football initially, but Brad's book is so well researched. I kept flipping through his sources and his notes to make sure I knew that his sources were so accurate, and he did such a fabulous job. I just can't sing the praises of this book enough. And for my gift, my Christmas gifts for my nieces and nephews, I'm going to get them a copy of this book. But
Judge, I think you missed your calling in marketing. I'm sure you're a great judge, but I think there was another alternate reality where you were a CMO somewhere.
Well, I think with the name Johnny Gogo, I probably should have been a rock star, but that's for another panel. That's for another panel. The flag signings are going to continue. I saw some chats in there about where we're going next. As a matter of fact, this coming Saturday, we'll be here in San Jose at the Japanese American Museum for folks to sign the flag. And then because of the great outreach through Haruka and others, I'm going to be traveling out to Denver on Sunday and to have the community, the Japanese American community in Denver, give them an opportunity to sign the flag. And then I'll be back in Santa Maria, California for Santa Barbara County, San Francisco to give the folks in San Francisco a chance to sign the flag, Alameda County, at the Buddhist temple in Alameda. And then with the help of Bacon, and hopefully maybe some of the members online, we can do another flag signing down in Southern California. I know Bacon's working with me on a location in the West Covina area that will give the folks in the Inland Empire, Riverside, San Bernardino County a chance to come and sign the flag. And then we're also, with Bacon's help, hopefully we can schedule a flag signing at the Japanese American National Museum in Little Tokyo, Los Angeles, to sign the flag. And ultimately, the flags will be donated on Fred Korematsu Day. And actually, this is the first time that I'm sharing this out loud, but because I can only be in one place at one time, certainly I'll be in San Jose to donate the first flag to the Japanese American Museum on Korematsu Day, January 30, 2022. But Bacon, maybe you and some others down in Los Angeles, maybe we can donate the second flag to hopefully the Japanese American Museum in Little Tokyo, maybe on Remembrance Day in February. So that way I can fly down there in person and join you and some others on that day. So just food for thought. Haruka, I know you're our moderator. I don't know if you want to open it up to questions to the audience or anything else, but I'll give it back to you.
Sure, yeah. So yeah, we are at the top of the hour, but at the same time, I know that folks probably want to hear a little bit more from all of our panelists. So I'm certainly happy to entertain some questions from the audience. If you have any, why don't we take some time, if folks would like to stick around, for a few questions for folks. So if you want to ask a question to Judge Gogo or any of our panelists here, go ahead and enter them into the chat, and we'll see if we can get to a few of them before we have to close out today's session. So go ahead. But I do actually have an initial question while we wait for folks to put in the chat. But for Judge Gogo, I'm really curious about the actual flags that you got for the project, since, you know, all of our flags these days have 50 stars on them. How hard was it to source the 48-star flags?
So fantastic question. And you know, because we are now in the internet age, right? The age of cyber world and cyberspace. You know, I do what anybody does these days now. I Googled how to obtain a 48-star flag. And, you know, because of the world that we live in today, it takes me to eBay. And you can find 48-star flags on eBay. And I have no shame in admitting that I bought these flags on eBay at a relatively, you know, low price, good price. But I will say this, that now that these 48 star flags have been signed by the likes of Bacon Sakatani and Kiyo Sato and Secretary Norman Mineta and Congressman Mike Honda and folks out in Hawaii, Joy Teraoka, and throughout in Seattle, Salt Lake City, San Diego, Palo Alto, Watsonville, Mas Hashimoto. These flags are now priceless. And, it's going to be such an honor to have them donated to the Japanese American museums for not only to honor those folks that have signed and, to honor their families and their sacrifices, but for future generations to come and see such a powerful exhibit, such a powerful living piece of history right now, such a powerful statement, as Bacon so eloquently put. These were American citizens incarcerated without due process of law. And to add to the irony, those young men in the camps that were draft age eligible were then drafted into the military to go serve and fight overseas in both theaters, both the Pacific Theater and the European Theater, while their family members still remain behind barbed wire under guarded towers in these incarceration prison camps. And so, it's been a fantastic journey. The journey continues as I go to different cities to continue to get the flags signed and to donate them. So thank you, Haruka, for asking that question.
Sure. Looks like we have one question that came in the chat so far, in the Q&A box. We have a lady who asks, my Issei grandparents and my Nisei mother are passed. Can I sign the flag in their stead?
And so, initially this flag project was strictly for survivors. And I'll share a quick story. When I first brought the flag down to Los Angeles and first met Bacon and folks were signing the flag initially, Bacon was my taskmaster. He would yell at the people signing from a distance. He would say, "Are you a survivor? Because if you're not, it's only for survivors to sign the flag." But I'll tell you what has happened is that as that person just asked that question, as I've traveled around the country, the children have come out to these events and have said, "Hey, my grandparents are no longer with us, or my great grandparents, or in some situations, my parents are no longer with us, but I'd like to sign the flag in their honor." And so, who am I to say no to those people that show up wanting to honor their parents? And so, yes, we have allowed the children to come and sign the flag if they've shown up. And so I'm not going to say no to anybody if they show up.
Looks like we have a couple more questions that have come in. So our next question is from Carrie. And Carrie asks, since there are several flags, are you keeping a master list of everyone who is signed?
Yes, we've kept a master list. And again, as the cities have grown, I've now realized that I have to get great volunteers like Bacon and Bacon volunteered from the start by taking photos and doing some video recordings. And Bacon, he is a force of nature. That's and I'm not ashamed every time I see Bacon now, because he's come to 4 of my signing events down in Southern California. And I like to say, I love you, Bacon, because he's such a force of energy and really a treasure and a treat. But yes, we've been keeping a master list of those folks that have been signing the flags. So that way, when we do submit the flags to the different museums, we can submit the master list so that they have an accurate accounting of who signed the flag.
Sure. All right. And then we have another question from David Fujioka. And David asks, will the flags eventually be photographed and placed online where we can view all the signatures?
And so that's a good idea, David. And we haven't necessarily thought about that idea, but that's a fantastic idea. And I think it's just a matter of time before that happens. So thanks for planting that seed, and that's going to be one of our goals.
Yeah. I imagine some of it might also depend on what the museums might decide to do with the flags after they're donated as well, right?
That's exactly true as well. Yes.
Great. All right. And I think at this point, I don't see any additional questions in the audience. So unless we get any last minute ones that come in, I do want to thank everyone for joining us today. It's been truly a very memorable panel to hear from everyone involved with this project, but especially from Bacon and from Kiyo, their experiences from the wartime and beyond. So with that, we really hope that everyone here has a chance to watch the recording of today's session. We'll be posting it online to the Tadaima website and to the Tadaima YouTube channel, where you can also share it widely with the rest of your friends and family as well. And certainly we encourage everyone to stay in touch and keep abreast of any of our upcoming tour dates for Judge Gogo's tour. Like I mentioned, in San Francisco, we will be hosting our in-person program here at the Japanese Cultural and Community Center in Japantown on October 17th. So we have a link to that. I'll post it again in the chat for everyone. But if you do know any survivors that would be interested in signing the flags, we do hope that you can make it out to sign. So with that, I just want to give any last minute chances for folks to enter any questions. If not, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today.
Thank you, Bacon. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Kiyo. Thank you, Haruka.
Thank you all so much for coming in and for having me. I really appreciate it.
Great work, Brad. Bye, Kiyo. Bye, Bacon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kiyo. Thank you for
Thank you,
wearing
Kiyo
your
and Bacon.
Air Force hat.
It was your request.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
You
Thank
look
you all
great.
so much. All right. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, Haruka.
All right. Good night. Bye.
Good night, everyone.